Hey there, guys. We're going to be going back to Helion with another rank 1 party. This time, we're going with the light element, for those of you that don't have Chow, Jekt, Aang, etc. Now, we are going to be using Noctis and Murray in this party, so it's not like, specifically speaking, a pure budget team. But, I'm going to work on more budget stuff over the weekend. For now, I'm just getting really powerful team clears out of the way. So we're going to be using Noctis, Richt, and Murray to deal our damage. We're going to be using Lilith to tank. We're not geared for damage on her, so you could swap her out with any tank you want, like Warrior of Light, etc. Lilith just makes it a little bit easy because she gives us a free turn on turn 4, as you're going to see. But, yeah, Kaito for the field in peril, and Melissa because Melissa is, I would say for this Clash of Wills, Melissa is by far the most useful unit. Because being able to just turn the boss off for 4 entire turns with her Dark Imbues is incredibly useful. Incredibly useful. Yeah, we're only going to take damage from the boss for 2 turns in the entire fight. We're going to have the boss imbued on every other turn. So on turn 1, we're going to use Noctis. He's going to just imbue the party with Enlightka, and then just Gleam twice. I used the wrong skill. Triple cast. So Enlightka and Gleam twice. We'll use Kaito to Mirage the party with Swelling, Receding, and we're going to use Pure Liquid Infusion as well to absorb water on turn 1. Lilith will do her LB on turn 1 for the better physical mitigation. We're going to use Murray to Field, Yang, Mudra, and then just Bolting Strike to fill the morale gauge. Richt will, in the shift form, do Radiant Protection. We'll do Luminous, and then just hit the boss for morale gain. And Melissa will do Shared Immunity, Chronic, and Parasol Shield. So, there is a very tiny chance the boss uses a lot of single-target cover-ignoring attacks and targets someone squishy like Kaito or something, but it's very, very unlikely. If someone dies on turn 1 from horrible RNG, reset the fight. But for the most part, this is going to be your turn 1. But in one of the test runs, the boss used like 2 or 3 single-target cover-ignoring attacks on Kaito, and he died. But I've only seen that once, so there's a small chance someone dies on turn 1. But the rest of the fight, you should be totally fine. So now we're going to use Lilith. She's going to cover, she's going to desire, and she's going to bar Darkja. That's going to be for later in the fight. Kaito will shift here, and we're going to do Downpour, Field, and Crashing Waves. So Downpour, Field, and Crashing Waves. We'll use Mirai we'll do a Mirage for the party. We're going to do Burst and Illusion on Richt. So Burst on Richt and Illusion on Richt. Richt will go to the base form, where we're going to do his Killer for the morale gain, Light Within. We'll do Hope Entrusted, and we'll do a Bolting Strike. We're going to do a Tiny Burst next turn. Noctis can shift here. And we can do, let's see, Ruler's Might. We'll do It Ends Now and Gleam. Gleam right there. And Melissa can do Minutes of Might, and then we'll just do some killers on either Noctis or Richt. Make sure you do Dragon Killer in there somewhere. Okay, so this is the last turn of the fight. We're going to take any damage at all. So again, if the boss, I'm not sure if it's even possible, but if the boss uses a bunch of single target cover ignorings on somebody, you might be in trouble, but almost always this is going to be your turn where nothing happens. Okay, we are never going to take damage the rest of the fight. From here on, we're going to keep the boss imbued at all times. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a burst. First of all, Kaito is going to do Deadly, Natural, and Deep. So Natural, Deadly, and Deep. Then we're going to SLB or LB Lilith. We're going to Shifted LB Mirai. We're going to Shifted LB Noctis, and we're going to Shifted LB Richt. And we're going to wait on Lilith. We're going to go ahead and chain all these up, do a little bit of damage. Again, I don't know if the damage even matters here. But you want to do a little bit of damage. This team is not as powerful as my previous team. Now, like the previous team, you're going to want to cross into Mania mode on turn 3. Notice we're at 163 morale, but if you notice the yellow bar is after the little purple marker. So we're going to go into Mania this turn, which is exactly what we want. So now we're going to do Uncontrollable Darkness on the boss, Shelga, and Shared Immunity. So from this point forward, we're never taking damage the rest of the fight. And we're going into Mania mode. Yeah, the boss is imbued of darkness now. So, some attacks. Now, I will say on turn 4, we're going to be imbuing the boss with darkness with Lilith, but we're not going to be absorbing darkness on turn 4. That's an important distinction. Now, we do have Bard Darkja on the party, so as long as no one is in the negative to Dark Resist, we're fine. Keep that in mind, though, in case someone is on, like, Carbuncle and you're at negative 50 Dark Resist before any kind of modifiers and stuff, you might be in trouble, so just watch out for that. Because turn 4, you want to be at 0 or better unbuffed Dark Resist. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use the SLB on Melissa. It doesn't matter who you target. We don't need cooldown reduction this clear. Noctis is going to do Focused Energy Plus. Now, he can fill the focus gauge all by himself with no help. We don't need cooldown reduction. We don't need a second unit. A Focus Plus unit does it all by themselves by the time we need to. So Richt will go to the base form, and we're going to just use his morale skill again with Light Within, then just Bolting, Absolute, whatever. Mirai will go back to the base form, and we'll just triple Bolting for the morale fill. You know, we can use Absolute, it doesn't really matter. Kaito is going to do Field, Deep, and Downpour. So Downpour, Field, and Deep. And Lilith, for the rest of the fight, can just cover, Rapture, and Betrayal. Oh, nope, I'm wrong. We're going to cover, we're going to Rapture, and we're going to Veil of Night. I forgot, Lilith needs to imbue the boss this turn. Because this turn is going to be a cover-ignoring physical. Now, if you're not using Lilith, you're going to need Mirage this turn. Or if you're using Hayo, imbue the boss with Fire this turn. But this is going to be a turn where you need to survive the cover-ignoring physical. So either lots of Mirage stacks, Aya Brea would use Haste on this turn, something like that. But something to deal with the physical damage that ignores cover here. So a multi-stack Mirage or an imbue on the boss. We imbued the boss with Darkness using Lilith. But again, if you're not using Lilith, someone else has got to either imbue or Mirage the party. I guess you could also just like bulk up and survive it, depending on if you're using Runda, you might be fine. Runda's mitigation may allow you to just take the damage to the face and not care. I didn't test that. I don't know. Anyway, so now we're going to use Melissa. She is going to all-consuming for 3 turns of Dark Imbue. We're going to bar Darkja again. And we're going to, I mean, I'm using Protect. It doesn't matter. We're immune to damage, but, you know, not much else to do. So Noctis on this turn will refill his LB gauge, will re-imbue the party, and we'll just Gleam because, you know, whatever. Richt will go back to the shift form, where we will Bolting twice and Absolute. So, you know, whatever. Just don't dispel the boss. That's the important thing. Mirai can just hit the boss again. Lilith can now do just Cover, Rapture, and Betrayal. And Kaito can do Deadly, Natural, and Downpour. Yeah, at this point, we're just waiting to get set up for the big kill on turn 8, where we're going to do a lot more than the damage cap. You know, compared to the Water Party, it's obviously a lot weaker. It's still going to be a massive, massive overkill. But on this party, that turn 3 burst does matter, because on test runs, I'm dealing between like 13 to 17. You might get a low roll on turn 8, so you might not OTK from 100%, but we're definitely going to kill from 70%. Okay, so some damage on the party, you know, mostly irrelevant. The boss is imbued, he can't hurt us. So on turn 6, we're going to start getting set up for damage. And by the way, I'm for the most part just not really using any attacks on the party on these turns. You can definitely chain, LB, etc. if you're worried about actually killing the boss on turn 8. I'm just not bothering to deal damage because we don't really need to. So on this turn, Murray is going to do Praja of Light for the Ramping Light Amplify. It's mostly just for Lilith and just Lilith, who's not even geared for damage. Honestly, you don't even need the Ramping Light skill. But Arcane Supplementation, that does help. And then we're going to do Connection Burst on, it doesn't really matter who, honestly. So we can just reload Lilith. Kaito can just refresh his stuff. We'll just do Deadly, Natural, and Field again. Noctis is going to do Focused Instinct for the modifier buff. Richt on this turn will do Luminous Burst, Leading Legend for the weapon in peril, and then just a Bolting Strike. Don't use Radiant. If you use Radiant, it'll dispel the boss and bad things will happen. We do not want to dispel the boss's Dark Imbue. So Melissa can honestly do kind of whatever. Shared, we can Parasol, and we can Dragon Killer on, it doesn't matter, it'll wear off before the burst turn. The big one will. Yeah, so I'm like doing all these mitigations and all just because there's nothing else to cast. So even though I'm casting like Protectka and Parasol and all, you don't really need that when the boss is imbued and can't deal any damage. Yeah, it feels like, I don't know, I'm not going to say an oversight, but them making the boss 100% physical damage when Melissa exists might have been an oversight. I don't know, because it's so non-threatening when you can just keep the boss imbued at all times. And just look at this. He can't hurt us. He literally cannot hurt us, and I can't get over that. And I do think it makes the fight relatively boring, the fact that there's no risk whatsoever. But yeah. So the turn chart says Melissa should SLB here. Honestly, we don't need the mitigation, so we're going to just do a killer. So we'll just do a Dragon Killer on Noctis, and then kind of whatever. Noctis, now we're going to get ready for killing next turn. Now, because Noctis filled the gauge by himself, we're good to go. So Mirai can do her Vertex ability. We'll do her 150 Amplify, and we'll just do Yang Mudra again. Lilith can just repeat, kind of whatever. Kaito is now going to Downpour. And then we're going to do Undulating and Unpredictable. Noctis will do 150 Amp, Ruler's Might, and it ends now. And Richt will do 180 Amplify. And then kind of whatever. Just don't dispel the boss and you're good. Yeah, the boss is still Dark Imbued this turn. And like I said, if you're worried about damage, by all means, chain on this turn. Don't just click randomly like I'm doing. You can use Lilith to do Betrayal 3 times. Like there, you can squeeze more damage out if you really need it. But I already know we don't need it. Okay, so on the burst turn, because I'm bursting on turn 8, which honestly might not even be the best turn, but the boss does have these mitigations, so we're going to waste Kaito's turn to get rid of them. I guess you could plan it out to where you don't have to do that with Kaito, and he could deal damage. If you're really squeezing for damage, you can do that, but we're going to just normal attack with Kaito and perfect dispel those mitigations away. So we're going to SLB Lilith, we're going to Shifted LB Mirai, those are both Bolting Strike. Before we do that, though, Melissa we'll do minutes. We're going to seconds of support on Richt, and we're going to Dragon Killer on Richt. Okay, Noctis shifted LB, and Richt will base form LB. Now, the chaining here is a little wonky. We're going to be using Lilith and Mirai and Richt. I'm sorry, Lilith and Mirai are Extreme Nova. Richt is Absolute Mirror, and Noctis is Bolting Strike. So Noctis wants to go a tiny bit slower than the rest, so we're going to send the back row, wait like a split moment, then click Noctis, and that should, for the most part, weave it all in. And there it is. I don't know if we missed any hits or not, whatever, but we should do more than 15. We did, I'm sorry, more than 5. All we needed was 5. We don't even have to kill the boss that turn. You've got 2 extra turns to kill the boss, but we did 15.1, so we killed the boss from 100%. That was a decent variance roll. And there's our perfect score. And there's our damage breakdown. So, I wonder why Mirai is so low. She shouldn't be that low. Mirai should definitely be higher than that. Did I not shift her? Did I forget to brave shift Mirai? Why is she shouldn't be that low? Or, I don't know. Anyway, whatever, we got it done. We did way more than we needed. Oh my god. I don't know if I brave shifted Mirai or not. And I have seen that green ticket so many times. I'm just real quick. Did they change I have to see this real quick. Hold on. Let me just look real quick if they changed the rates of the green ticket. 6.7, they boosted the rate of the green ticket. The green ticket used to be like 4%. So they like 50%. That's actually really nice. Anyway, let me show you the gear. So I'll turn on the modifier so you can see the modified stats with all the modifiers turned on. So as far as unit swaps, for this party, Noctis is the leader. Noctis is also our Focus Plus unit, so that's a little bit important. If you're not using Noctis, you're going to want 2 older focus units. So either like a JP tank, like Warrior of Light, Snow, something. You know, you could use Jecht again, Runda, plus another focus unit. But we're using Noctis, and then we've got Richt and Mirai for damage. Mirai is the field, Kaito for the Imperil. Also, Kaito is doing Dragon and Spirit Killer. We don't have Bird Killer in the party whatsoever. It didn't matter, as you can see, but if you can fit that in, that's good. And I'll show you the gear. So, Melissa is just morale fill. You know, we want to cross into Mania mode on turn 3, so a lot of morale is very helpful. Noctis, base form, using Celestite Rod, Treasured Ring, just, you know, morale fill stuff. Shift form is LB damage versus the boss, and we got him on Odin for the Overkiller to Dragon. Richt in both forms, geared identical, got gear right there, maxed on everything. He's a premium, pretty easy to do. Kaito is dual wielding a card from Wilk for the morale gain, using his chest piece for the TMR activation. Shift form, the same thing. Lilith is using basically no resistances. You know, the boss is very, very, very non-threatening if you do it this way with Melissa on the party. So Lilith is just here. No killers. Honestly, I was way too worried about bulk. I could have geared her for damage. She could have actually done something. But she has no killers at all, and she did no damage because of that. You know, I don't have chain cap on her. I guess she has maxed on LB damage, but she has literally 0 killer, none whatsoever, because it didn't matter. But if you need damage, you could gear her. But the reason I wanted to do that is to show that if you don't have Lilith, you know, she's not contributing anything except tanking. And the Dark Imbue on turn 4 is kind of helpful. And then Mirai, base form, this is kind of sort of whatever. Shift form is damage. Now, she does have a little bit of trickiness to gear for this boss. She has none of the killers innate, so yeah, a little bit hard to gear for, but, you know, we made it work. And there it was. Maybe that was why her damage was so bad, because she doesn't gear for it very well. I swear I don't know if I shifted her on the kill turn. I probably did. Maybe she's got a low roll. In any case, there's the light clear. See you in a bit.